Oh, that's good.
It was working before I sat down and touched my phone.
We will be starting here in a minute. We're just finishing up, setting up the last computer.
If everybody was here in person, we wouldn't have to worry about this. Can you hear me, Randy?
Yep.
Okay. We'll call the July Planning and Zoning meeting to order. The meeting properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Peace is sitting in for Bob Morgan. Otherwise, everybody's here. Introductions. I'm Rocky Gilner, District 2 Supervisor.
Chuck Quick, District 5.
Larry Brood, District 4.
Rick Pease, District 10.
Randy Peason, citizen member.
Bruce Knockreiner, citizen member.
Jody Shapey, Supervisor, District 7.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion Larry, second Chuck. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Need a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion Chuck, second Knockreiner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None, okay. Surveyor's report.
It was a pretty normal month. They did have a telephone conference, myself, Janie, with the Corp Council concerning a parcel of land that the county owns, which is basically an easement to some lots in the town on an assessor's plat in the town of Leola. So we spent some time talking about that, coming up with the best way to handle that, because some of the neighbors are concerned about the easement and how it's being used and that sort of thing. I also did discover while we were doing the remonumentation project that we have a number of corners that were set in County Leola and Rome on the north, near the north boundary line of the county. There were actually 40 corners, and really the county should not have been setting those. Those were set back in the 70s. There's 2 or 3 that need to be replaced, and I've kind of discussed this with Jody as well. The original government survey never set those corners, and there's some issues with us actually doing that. So my intent is I probably will not, or I'm not intending to replace the ones that are missing, and the ones we still have, I'll pull those from the tie sheet books and actually stick those into the section files so they're of reference for people. Since they've been set, I can't really pull the corners themselves, so they're going to have to stay. But and last of all, I've started working on the corners that were missing from the remonumentation project, and I hope to have all those done by the end of this summer. So other than that, business as usual.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, we'll move on. Register of Deeds.
All right, I don't really have a lot this month. Things are going well. We're pretty busy, and I know that the title companies and the realtors are busy. So that usually means that we're gonna be even busier later on. Revenue is up, which is great. You know, property sales are going well. We're seeing some nice prices for some of these houses, and I can try to remember to do the Wisconsin Realtors Association report next time. It gives you the average price of what properties are selling in Adams County and what the, you know, what the, how many sales are going and stuff like that. So I'm working on the budget right now. I just worked with Kyle on some account changes for some of our liability accounts. Those accounts are the ones that are paid to the state for like the portion of the transfer tax and the portion of the Children's Trust Fund and the Vital Records Automation. So we just finished those up. So we should be able to have a full month with the new account numbers for those. That's it for registered deeds. You want land information right away too then?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, there again, I'm working on the budget. We'll be meeting as a committee the end of July or first part of August to go over that. And then I'm also working on the land records plan with the GIS specialist. So we're trying to get that all up to date too as well. And we'll be submitting that for a draft form to the state in September. And then we'll be giving the county board a copy as well. And sometime toward the end of the year. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Jody? Hearing none, we'll move on to public hearings.
The
Dusty.
first, all right, the first public hearing is for Douglas and Catherine Haffenbrettel. It's a reopen of a tabled application of a rezoning request of a parcel, 40 acres, from A2 agricultural transition to R1 residential on property located in the northeast quarter, southwest quarter, section 27, township 19 north, range 5 east, town of Monroe, Adams County. This application was here last month. The committee, during the discussion came to light that the town had not addressed the consistency with the comprehensive plan. The applicants did go back to the town board. The town board reapproved the application, and the minutes from their meeting were part of the agenda. And in a nutshell, it says the board, where is it here? Had it. Motion by Bob Kissinger to approve it, even though it does not go with the town's comprehensive plan. I think the applicants are online. I did talk to them this morning.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
All right. That's really no other information. Just a quick recap. They did submit a CSM. All the lots, I think they were shooting to create 5 lots, and they're all over 5 acres.
Correct.
No other new information.
Okay, I don't believe we can act on this because it does not comply with the town comprehensive period.
You're mute.
Can't hear him.
Unless we make some changes to this application, I don't think we can proceed because it does not comply with the town comprehensive plan.
Well, that's not what minutes from last month pretty much said, that it needed to go back to the town and to look at the comprehensive plan and take that into consideration for them. And that's what they did. They said, we understand it doesn't meet the forestry, which is what I believe the comprehensive plan said. And so they said, we understand it's not forestry, it's, you know, and we still approve it being an R1, which is what the adjacent property is to this. So, I mean, I'm not sure what more we can do. We started this back in April. That's when it was originally approved. You know, if it's a matter of the wording, I mean, the intent of the town is to approve our application. Whether they use the correct wording in the minutes, you know, when they recapped it, I'm not sure, but it is their intent to approve it.
Which they've done twice.
Yeah.
Okay, the only information I have is the copy of the town meeting minutes, which specifically says it does not meet the comprehensive plan.
Right, they did not change their comprehensive plan. That's, I mean, we had approached Tony Jefferson, who I guess worked on the town comprehensive plan extensively when it was originally done. And we had asked her, is there a better zone? You know, should we be asking for a different zone than R1? Our intent is to not, you know, to encourage a single family home, not a mobile home, and then keep the acreage, the 5, you know, over 5 acres. And she never got back to us with a better zoning. So, you know, we just continued with the current application that we did.
Do you have a suggestion as far as zoning to get it to pass?
Dusty?
So my recommendation, pretty much from day one, has been to rezone the property to A3. All the proposed lots would meet the minimum lot size requirements. Single-family dwellings are permitted. Single-wide mobile homes aren't. So from everything I can see, is it meets all the desired outcomes of the applicants, and that's why that's what I suggested. I guess that would be my recommendation still.
And we would have gone that route, but the town, just for lack of more hurdles to cross, the town had already approved R1. So we just went along with that, hoping that the wording would help you approve the R1. But if the A3 would approve easier, we'd be more than happy to do that. But now we're looking at
Another month.
late fall
yeah.
before we can get it
Yeah.
approved, unless we pass an amendment or something saying that the zoning is just going from R1 to A3.
And that's what they're discussing right now, is that they would amend this application right now from R1 to make the request from R1 to, instead of R1, it would be A3 potentially. And you would still have an answer if they chose to go that route now.
Fantastic.
The issue, what you brought up about the comprehensive plan, yes, they needed to address it. The problem is the state statutes specifically say that all land use decisions have to be consistent with the state plan or comprehensive plan. And their minutes specifically say that R1 is not consistent. So that's what the committee now has to take into account.
So where do we go from here?
The committee will discuss that.
Okay, we'd be more than happy with A3.
Yeah, we're not, you know, there's.
We don't know. We've never done this before, and we didn't have enough guidance.
Okay, so do we need a motion to change the application from going from A2 to A3 versus R1?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, Larry, and a second. Jody? To change the application to go from A2 to A3 instead of A2 to R1. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Hannah?
Borud,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Shapey,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Thiessen,
Yes.
Pease,
Yes.
and Knockreiner.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there any further questions from the committee on this rezone? Okay. Does anyone online wish to speak in favor of this proposal? Hearing none. Does anyone wish to speak against this proposal? Again, hearing none, it's up to the committee.
Mute. Jody Shapey, do you think it would be good for the Hafenbrettels, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, to be aware of the permitted uses and conditional uses on the A3, since it's kind of a new zoning to them, or is that a moot point?
I have this sheet that I printed off online.
You've got it. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. I just didn't want you getting into something you weren't aware of.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Yeah, thanks.
Randy
to the
Thiessen
committee.
here. There was no talk of the town changing the comprehensive plan to accommodate you?
Not according to the minutes.
Okay.
It sounds like the comprehensive plan was created around 10 years ago, I think, and it would take years from what they said at the meeting to change it all. I didn't really comprehend it.
I don't think there was any intention to change the comprehensive plan. This is one of the few instances, if not the only, in the county where the comprehensive plan actually came before they adopted zoning. Not a big deal one way or the other. You have some inconsistencies, but anything moving forward is supposed to be consistent. The process takes, I guess, about 2 months to amend a comprehensive plan, but it is an involved process. With the A3, I guess I would say you wouldn't have to amend the comprehensive plan. A lot of times R1 is designed for the denser development.
So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezone to an A3.
I'll second that.
You have a motion, Jody, and a second, Larry, to approve the proposal. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Hannah?
Thiessen,
Yes.
Knackereiner,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
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 Okay, rezone is approved. This will have to go before the county board on what date? The 20th. 6 PM on the 20th.
Thank you.
Yeah, you might want to be online just in case somebody has questions.
Okay.
Okay, next one, Dahmen Trust. Or do I have the wrong one? Oh, Woodstock.
The next application is William and Richard Woodstock. It's a rezoning request of a parcel, 40 acres, from I-1 industrial to A-135 exclusive ag on property located in the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter, section 31, township 19 north, range 5 east, town of Monroe, Adams County. This was the application that was before the board either last month or the month before, where there was some question on who actually applied for the rezoning. William and Richard have purchased the property. They are the owners and they are the ones that have made the request. And I do not believe they went back to the town because the town had approved it once previously. And I have no additional information or correspondence.
Okay, this is a redo because it was kicked back by the county board for having they went ahead with the sale a little bit premature. So the wrong names were on the application. Now the current owner and the applicant are the same person. Because we had already approved this once.
So move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the request. Any further discussion?
Might have to do a, ask for public input.
Okay. Is there anyone online that wishes to speak in favor of this proposal? Is there anyone online that wishes to speak against this proposal? Hearing none? I'll go ahead, Hannah. And Hannah's busy.
Okay. Barud,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Knockreiner,
Yes.
Beeson,
Yes.
Shapey,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Pease,
Yes.
Okay, this is approved. You'll have to be before the full county board, 6 PM on the 20th. Next one. What's wrong with Hannah? Computer issues? Leland and Rachel Chi.
seeing she's the one taking minutes, we should probably give her a second.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, this is Leland Cheek calling.
Yeah, we're working on it.
We had a little technical difficulty. Can you hear me, Hannah? All right, the next applicant is Leland and Rachel Chi. Rezoning request of a portion of a parcel, 1 acre from A3 secondary ag to B1 business on property located in the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter. Lot 2 of CSM 4139, section 33, township 15 north, range 7 east, town of Jackson. The address is 441 Fur Lane. I do have the town participation form. They do not object to the request, and it says it does comply with their comprehensive plan. And I received no other correspondence. There was a question raised earlier about which 1 acre it would be. And my response was, when the shed goes up, we will designate that specific 1 acre. But on the drawing, it's in the general area of where they drew the shed in.
Leland or Rachel, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you care to explain your request?
This 1 acre that we want to have rezoned is for a welding and fabrication business that I would want to start up, and this would be a way of getting me off the road traveling for work. And we have the area, the general idea of the area where we're going to put up planning on putting up a welding shop, fabrication shop, just to service the area and keep my welding skills up with. And we already went through the county or the township, and they approved it, and we're here with you guys for the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the committee members? Shapey?
I'm just curious, the mile I'm sorry, the acre that we're cutting out, does it have to have its own approach? Or can it be with the driveway that's on the plot map? I just,
They can share.
Oh,
they can share.
it'll share the same approach coming up to the house. It'll be in the same approach.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from committee members?
And I did find three letters in support. Emails that were sent in, they were in a different spot than they usually are. And all of them said they have absolutely no concerns. And that's from Scott Sukamel, Barb and Randy Fredericks, and Dan Oberdorf.
Okay. Is there anyone online that wishes to speak in favor of this proposal? Is there anyone online that wishes to speak against this proposal? Hearing none, it's up to the committee.
I move to approve the request for rezone.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, Chuck, and a second, Larry, to approve the proposal. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Hannah?
Pease,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Thiessen, Mac Reiner,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Borud,
Yes.
Shapey.
Yes,
Okay. This too goes before the full county board, 6 PM on the 20th. Next one.
The next application is for Robert and Rosemary Grant. Rezoning request of a parcel, 1.238 acres, from R1 residential to R3 versatile residential on property located in the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter, southeast quarter of northwest quarter, lot 40, East Oak Valley, section 5, township 15 north, range 6 east, town of Springville. The address is 1189 Fawn Court. I did receive the town participation form from the town of Springville. They do not object, and they felt it was in an area with numerous single wides and the board would like it to be new. And that was at their June meeting. The specific reason for this request, my understanding is to be able to put a single wide in this area or on this property. I have talked to the applicant and they're not certain they're going to end up going with a single wide, but considering the cost of materials right now, they want that to be an option. And there are other single wides in the area, as the town stated. And I received no other correspondence.
Okay, Robert or Rosemary Grant, are you online?
Yes, we are.
Where?
Do you have anything to add?
The address should be 1159 Fun Court. The,
1159.
it is, when she, the gal who was doing the paperwork at your end there, she put in 1189. She said it was an error of number and I asked her to update it.
My handwriting was pretty bad that morning.
I guess we'll blame it on Bob.
Okay,
So we did call in to have her correct that, and she said she would do it.
Sorry about
And
that.
on the other notice, it has been corrected. I was reading off of the old one.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Any
no,
questions?
we just want the option just in case the building materials, labor, everything is just through the roof and not sure what we're going to be able to do next year. So it's kind of crazy right now.
But it will be a new one.
Okay. Any questions from committee members? Seeing none. Is there anybody online that wishes to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this request? Hearing none, it's up to the committee.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Peace. Second by Quick. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Hannah?
Thiessen,
Yes.
Borrud, Gilner,
Yes.
Shape,
Yes.
Reiner,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Pease.
Yes.
Okay. Proposal is approved. This will be before the full county board, 6 PM on the 20th. Next one.
The next application is for Jeffrey Ilke, conditional use request under 40534C of the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to allow construction of a new single-wide manufactured residence on property located in the northeast quarter, northeast quarter, Section 28, Township 19 North, Range 5 East, Town of Monroe. The address is 1701 Brown Deer Ave. The applicant is online. He is replacing an existing single-wide manufactured home with a brand new one. And that's all the information I have. And from the town, they did approve it. They just said it does not object, and they felt it is consistent with their comprehensive plan. Mr. Ilke, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes. I was just going to say that the home that I want to put in there, being as the prices went crazy this year, I didn't know. I have $120,000 stuck in this project. I'm going from when I talked to the town board, and they said as long as I had a peaked roof and it was 900 square feet, which it's 1,165, I was good to go. So I already paid Dave Demlo construction or excavation, and Dave Foster already is going to put a brand new septic in, which I already had one, and a brand new well in, which I already had one. So that'll be new on the land. And I paid dependable concrete already, Gray Electric, and we already down by Patty and Ron at Timberlake, we already picked out a home and they already built it for us. And then at the last minute, they didn't, I don't know, they were doing the permits. I didn't know we got to this point, and I had to go through the county. So here's what I did. I paid all them, your local contractors off already, and I got this money invested, and I'm kind of lost here. I was dumbfounded. I didn't really know
They didn't know either.
what to do, and they didn't tell me that I couldn't put that there. So then I went to the town board, and obviously they approved it, and here I stand right now. So I'm just kind of in limbo, not knowing what to do.
Okay, well, thank you.
The like I said though, this home, the home is replacing a 1968 home that we worked on and fixed, and it was nice, but it's time for it to go. So I'm obviously sticking this kind of money in your local economy, and I've been up here for 40 years. My father has the land next to me, and I got 4 generations up here that we come and hunt and enjoy the weekends. And I'm hoping in 5 years just to retire here. And another reason I was in more of a hurry instead of waiting until I retire, my honey here, Lisa, has terminal cancer. And when Timberlake said they could get the home here, like
May 28th, I said, let's do it the fastest we can so she can enjoy this summer, because they said it's going to be less than a year. So that was a big hurry for me to get something brand new for her. So she loves to come up here, and we got 10 bird feeders in the yard and just watch the birds and the deer. And it's just, it's our getaway from Fond du Lac. I'm only 100 miles away, but this is where we want to be. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Committee members, any questions? Seeing none. Is there anyone online that wishes to speak in favor of this proposal? Is there anyone online that wishes to speak against this proposal? Hearing none, it's up to the committee.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion to approve by Larry, second by Bruce. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Hannah?
Borrud, Nachreiner,
Yes.
Shapey,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Pease,
Yes.
Beeson.
Yes.
Okay, conditional use request is approved. This does not have to go before the full county board. Next, sanitary ordinance.
The next public hearing is for the sanitary ordinance, amending it to mainly changing the sanitary requirements for camping units. There was a couple of reference changes we made at the same time. Fixed some of the definitions, made everything more consistent. We can't hear you. Okay, is that any better?
Oh, yes.
The next public hearing is for amending the sanitary ordinance, changing the requirement for camping units. There are a few other minor changes, mainly being updating some references, cleaning up the definitions. Instead of having campers and recreational vehicles, it's all the same now. The official title or the official name of the units we're talking about are RV transfer containers. So you'll see that fixed in a lot of different paragraphs throughout the ordinance. Page 6 is the primary change in the entire ordinance. And what it says is, if you go up, it talks about when you have to have a septic system. Paragraph 2 says all camping units that remain on a property for more than 7 days per calendar month must satisfy one of the following requirements. A, be connected through quick disconnect fittings to a legal private on-site wastewater treatment system, septic system, size for a minimum of 2 bedrooms. Or B, be connected through quick disconnect fittings to a state of Wisconsin approved RV transfer container with a capacity of 300 gallons upon issuance of a permit by Adams County Zoning Department. And there's a reference to a section about those permitting requirements. That's something that we have talked about a number of times. Over the winter, I did go to pretty much all the towns. And I've talked to the towns that aren't under county zoning. This isn't a zoning ordinance, but it is going to affect camping in, for example, Strong's Prairie, Big Flats, Lincoln, Rome, Leola, Quincy, thank you. Anyways, forgetting one. So this still applies in those towns. The town of Rome has been calling me every month, wanting me to get this on the agenda, so it would apply throughout their entire town. I have talked to members of the boards of all the other towns except one, and they're all, I didn't hear any negative feedback. And when I did the tour to all the towns earlier, or like I said, over the winter, I didn't really get any negative feedback. There was a number of other things on the that I talked about also. The concern is what are people doing? They're parking their campers out there for years on end. The concern is what are people doing with the waste out of those camping units? Especially when you get around lakes, what's happening to it? It's a 30-gallon tank. Are we realistically thinking that people are putting that into a Blue Boy, driving it to a county park that has a dump station or a campground? And it seems as if the general consensus, and we have no way to track it, the general consensus is no, that's not what's happening. As far as other changes, a little bit of wording, again, the AMP RV stuff, or making sure it's named right. Corp Council did review this ordinance, suggested a couple of minor tweaks. We did change paragraph F on page 20. It's about the Pouts maintenance program. Took out some of the nuts and bolts are still there, just some of the specifics on notices are removed. We're running at about a 96% compliance right now. Maybe that's after 2 notices. We're getting it down to under 50 citations that we have to issue. So I think what we're doing is working. This gives us a little more flexibility if needed. Then towards the end, pages 22, 23, and 24 are all deleted. The reason being is a few months ago, we adopted the we amended the permits ordinance, made it into the administration ordinance, and all this language was already put into that ordinance. So it's all housed in one spot, as consistent as possible across all the ordinances. So it's being removed from this. That's about the extent of that's all the changes.
Okay, committee members, any questions? Jody?
You took out the definition of recreational vehicle, but you mentioned recreational vehicle under 294-3 under general requirements. I don't know if that should be there or not with removing the definition. And I can probably get to it if you want a better. It's under 294-3 general requirements. Maybe you should do a find on it, Dustin, because my screen is, well, actually, here it is. Sorry. Working on 2 PCs so that I have this for you. Hold on. I don't have any line numbers for you, but. Hold on, I will tell you. It's under Planning and Zoning Administrator 294-3 general requirements. A, last sentence, recreational vehicles as defined by this article do not require pots. Five, okay.
Yep. So that we'll have to amend that to be deleted out.
Okay. Under another item, RV transfer container, you have in one place with a minimum 300-gallon capacity. And then in 2 other places, you have a defined with a capacity of 300 gallons. So under the RV transfer container, are we giving them a little leeway so that it can be less than a 300, or should we amend that too?
The minimum is 300.
Okay.
As of right now, that's about your only choice for size.
Okay,
There may be others that come online that are bigger. I guess they should be the same, whether we either say minimum of 300 or it is 300.
and I think it says with a maximum of 300. So it would not have the ability to grow. Hold on, I'll find that one too. Sorry, just bear with me.
Under the definition of a recreational or RV transfer container with a maximum capacity of 300.
Right, so then it couldn't get any bigger is my thought. And you just said that there is a potential that there could be a size increase somewhere down the road?
Only if the state were to approve it. And with a capacity, 300 gallons limited.
To me, when I see a maximum, I always think there's maybe something smaller that would work.
I guess, what are the committee's thoughts on that? Do we want to cap it at 300? Do we want to make it a minimum of 300? Do we want it to be 300?
It should be a minimum of 300. Isn't that kind of the rule of thumb in campgrounds, RV parks? Those are kind of standard, aren't they? 300 gallon?
300 is the standard, yes.
But do we want to get bigger?
Guess I'd change it to minimum with a minimum.
I feel that
300.
you should make it minimum size. If they want to go with something bigger, that's fine. It don't really matter. But they need to go, that make it a minimum size. It's got to be at least 300.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that too.
I can certainly make those changes. If we note, I was just gonna say, if we note all the changes and then vote on amending it at the end at one or all together. Okay.
Dustin, under the camping unit, we've heard the word, is it destination? Whatever. Is that in here somewhere? Under a
because it is
different
applied-
name?
Because of the definition of camping unit, it applies in that.
Say that again?
The definition of a camping unit says what a camping unit is. Whether it's a destination trailer or anything else, doesn't matter. If you were in a situation where a park model would be allowed, say we change that someday, this ordinance still applies. As long as it's considered a camping unit. This ordinance doesn't regulate whether it can be a destination trailer or a park model or anything else.
Okay. Okay. And just because I'm going to bring this up, we don't really care too much about septic being pumped and put out on farm fields. So I guess my question is, why are we pushing this to the extent that we are?
As far as the spreading it on farmland, it's something regulated by the DNR. They have soil tests done. There's grading or slope requirements, what the vegetation on there is. I mean, it's not just they're going to put it on a farm field. They have quite an extensive application process to go to get those fields approved, and they have to report how many gallons they dump on each field, how many pounds of nitrogen are added. Before they spread it on the field, they also have to put lime on it to neutralize it. That's something that is very different than what we're concerned about here. And on a 40-acre parcel, maybe it doesn't affect the neighbor. But this ordinance also applies in a subdivision where dogs, kids, whatever, wander all over and who knows where they're dumping it.
And I'm assuming this should maybe be more directed toward the smaller lots, right? But we're just opening it up for everybody because,
In general, when you write ordinances, it applies uniformly.
so the dog poop that you mentioned walking through and the kids and whatever, I mean, we're talking deer poop, dog poop, all sorts of different poop that's going on the land. I just,
If I'm talking the dogs running through,
I understand.
okay.
But I think it's excessive from my standpoint.
Chuck Quick, District 5. Wasn't a lot of this brought up because of the fact that people along lakes or waterways were dumping on the property or into the water? And therefore, we started this, and I believe you're correct on making it uniform for all camping units. I mean, we don't control the wildlife, but I mean, this is something that we should have and should have went into effect some time ago. So I think you're on the right track with making it for all.
I agree. This, and it's not just around lakes, it's out in the country too, as I can attest. It needs to be uniform.
And to answer your question, that is, I think, where I started hearing a lot of the, especially for whatever reason down in the Lake Mason area or Mason Lake area, that was, I guess, the ones that started bringing it to my attention. But I do also see where this is an issue. I mean, like what Jody was getting to, what's the magic number? 3 acres, 5 acres, 40? It's still a human health hazard, and the state of Wisconsin still says it has to be dealt with appropriately. Doesn't matter how many acres you have.
How are you going to enforce it, Dustin, is my question.
Sure. So when I write an ordinance, I know I can enforce it. As far as how I plan on enforcing this, the first thing we will do is do an inventory of all camping units that appear to be not just brought in this weekend. And we will start there. It will take time. My goal is to, over the winter, between now and over the winter, establish that list and then start getting letters out. Anybody new that calls and asks about requirements, we tell them the new requirements, and you're expected to comply immediately or from the start. But there will be, just like we did with the tourist rooming house, where, yep, there's, I don't want to say grace period, but it does take time to get the notice out there, give people a chance. For about the last, since this subject came up a year ago, maybe, we've already been informing most people that call our office asking about requirements that this is potentially coming down the road. So really anybody who bought or brought in campers in the last year have some idea that this is at least in the works.
So what about the one that's on the back 5 acre of a 40 acre, totally wooded? You can't trespass. Are you doing it aerial? I mean, I stand back and I just wonder about.
Right. And there's a lot of unique scenarios that, there's a number of different ways that they can be addressed. I guess that's where 20 plus years of experience come in handy for me being able to enforce an ordinance. Sometimes they get called in by neighbor complaints because like what you're saying is 5 acres, they're going to have neighbors someplace. Somebody sees it hunting, whatever. Aerial photos, am I going to go property by property? No. If I hear about it or I have an idea that, oh yeah, okay, there is a camper sitting back there. Can I use aerial photos to verify? Yeah. And a lot of my enforcement comes from discussing with the people or with the owners.
Okay, anybody else from the committee? Since this is the public hearing, is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this ordinance?
We do. We do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, are you?
That's us, yes.
That's us, Bob and Rose?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I just have some thoughts with that because we have an RV. And so we do come up to the property, and that's been a concern. What are other people, like doing? Because, and so we have a smaller parcel, but there are other neighbors as we go up and down the street. And we wondered the same thing because we have a septic. We have a working septic at our property, but other people, we wonder what they have. And after a while, okay, the rain might wash away some stuff, but if people are coming up there and doing it a lot, or I could see where the lake would be an issue, and being uniform is important. The other thought is the minimum they have, like when we're with our RV and other people, if you are boondocking or you don't have access to a dump there, they have the smaller, it's like a little tank.
It's a 30 gallon.
It's a 30 gallon that people use for like maybe a week or a couple days, whatever. And then it just hauls behind your truck. So if you have, like, if you're going to put a minimum on there, you might, it seems like you might not go low enough for minimum for people that might use that type of a smaller tank, little unit that they can take somewhere. Or take in their truck and then go to a dumping thing and take care of it. The other thought is if you have like a minimum of 300 gallon or more with people with a bunch of stinky pee and poop in there, and who knows when it's going to get pumped out, and that thing could be smelling like Bertha's giant fart till it gets emptied out. And I'm sure it's going to aerate and be disgusting. And I don't want to be smelling a neighbor even 2 doors down that has a great big giant poop tank out there. So I wouldn't go above 300, and you want to make sure that they're getting that they're getting emptied so that it doesn't make this, because it's going to be, if the sun's hitting it, it's going to be this big giant tank of stinky pee and poop that the sun is baking it until it gets sucked out by the septic guy or whoever. That's just my thought, because we have an RV and we travel a lot, so we see different scenarios, and we go drive up and down the subdivision neighborhood, and we see who's got what where, and we kind of wonder what everybody's doing. And so personally, I'm glad that they're enacting something like this. And the other thing, I can't even imagine a 500 gallon poop thing in somebody's yard that's near us. Oh my God. So call me a woman. My husband would agree with that
Yeah,
thought.
and my thought on it is, even if it's difficult to enforce, that doesn't mean you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for your input. Is there anybody else?
Yes, this is Dave Leverage. For the 300 gallon tank, does that have to be buried or what? And also, we live right by CR rollers pumping. So would there be a schedule that we could get onto?
So the first part of that, the tank is not supposed to be buried any more than 4 inches deep. The tank itself, the 300 gallon RV transfer container, is about 1 foot tall. It looks like not a big pancake, but a flat box. You sink it into the ground about 4 inches, so 8 inches is still sticking above grade. As far as the pumping frequency, that would be, if you set something up with a pumper, that'd be great, that they come out every 2 weeks or whatever, as needed. From an enforcement standpoint on that part, and Ms. Grant actually brought it up too, is those pumpings will get reported into the same system that people use to report septic system pumping. The transfer container is an annual permit, and part of that renewal process will be verifying that they have been getting it pumped out. If somebody comes for a renewal and they've never had a pumping reported, that raises red flags, and then we go out and see what's going on.
Okay, we've never used the bathroom in ours, but we'll put the tank in. And how much is the permit to get for that?
The initial permit is $50. The renewals are 25, right? What do you use for restrooms then?
We come next door to our house and we have a full normal bathroom and septic in our house. The RV next door is just for my wife to go over for some time alone. She could open the windows and just decompress. She is just recently become disabled.
It is located on a separate parcel though?
Yes.
All right, so then that tank would be required. If it was on the same parcel as the house, the septic system for the house would satisfy that requirement. Provided you actually hook it up to that house.
We own 2 lots that are together, so could we actually have it run to our main septic?
Yes.
Okay. And then I would have to find out how much the permits are to have that done, and I'll have to talk to the septic guy.
Yep, at that point, it would be a reconnect permit. That's a one-shot deal, unless you replace the camper, I guess. But that's a one-time reconnect permit, and it would have to be pumped out every 3 years, just like because it is the house septic system. It doesn't change that requirement.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you for that information.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Hearing none, we need a motion to approve the changes that were made today. You have them?
The first change is to remove the reference to paragraph 294-3A. Remove the last sentence that says recreational vehicles as defined by this article do not require a pout. And the other change was change any reference to the size of an RV transfer container to a minimum of 300 gallons.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the changes?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion Larry, second Chuck, to approve the changes. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Hannah?
Matt Griner,
Aye.
Gilner,
Yes.
Pease,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Bird, Thiessen,
Yes.
Shapey.
No.
Now, this is just to approve the changes, not the whole ordinance.
Yes, I'll approve the date.
Got everybody?
That was everybody, right?
Okay. Okay, changes are approved for the updated ordinance. Now we need a motion to approve the ordinance. We have a motion by Chuck to approve,
I'll second it.
second by Randy. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Hannah?
Gilner,
Yes.
Shapey,
No.
Pease, Quick,
Yes.
Thiessen,
Yes.
Bird,
Yes.
Matt Griner.
Yes.
Okay, updated ordinance is approved. Moving on. Review and approval of the final plat for Lake Pete and Well Getaway from Secluded Land Company.
There were a couple of minor. Oh, from the preliminary to the final, there was a couple of minor things that had to be addressed. They were fixed. Jerry has reviewed both plats and has no issues with them. And the town of, the town has approved both of them.
Okay, any questions from the committee?
Yeah, town of Rome.
Anybody online for the secluded land?
Jack, are you online? He's not usually.
Okay. Well, then I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Rick, second by Randy to approve the final plat. Lake Pete Well Getaway. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, Hannah?
Gilner,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Pease,
Yes.
Dietzen,
Yes.
Knackrainer,
Yes.
Borud,
Yes.
Shapey.
Yes.
Okay. Final plat approved. Moving on to number 11. Review approval of Alpine Acres.
Everything I said on the last one.
Huh?
Everything I said on the last one goes for this one too.
Well, need a motion to approve. Motion Chuck, second Larry to approve the Alpine Acres. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Hannah?
Pease, Shapey,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Borud, Thiessen,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Knackrainer.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, financial report.
The one thing I did want, I don't know if we've mentioned it before on those plats. We do now put those through the same review group that we do for certified survey maps. So treasurer's office, register of deeds, county surveyor, myself, whatever town is involved as part of it also, and highway department all review it. So by the time it gets to this point, they've already all looked at their respective parts, and they're usually any changes that need to be made get brought up then. It seems to be working really well, and it works really well for those certified survey maps also. With that being said, financial report. Doing very well this year. I've been saying that all year, I guess, so far. We're through 5 months, we're running at about 60% of our projected revenue. And we added, in June, we added another 23% to that. So by the end of June, we'll be at getting close to our budgeted amount for the year already. Expenses were right on track. So the financials look very good. Permits. We're up in permits about 20 just in the month of May and about 80 overall for the year. Revenue is right on par. We're within $600. A lot of that has to do with what type of permits they are. The one thing I would point out in all these numbers going up and revenue wise, that is without doing building permits for accessory structures. I was a little concerned that our budget might, or we might lose a little revenue from that. Have not seen it yet. People still have to get a zoning permit, but, and our response from, I guess I'm kind of going into updates now, but, our ability to make it out for inspections on a more timely manner, we're doing it in a more timely manner. There's a lot fewer inspections that were part of that building process for a garage that we no longer do, that were still time consuming. So now on houses and additions and decks, the response time is a lot better, which was one of the primary goals of doing that. And other updates for the next round of first notices will be going out this week for pumping your septic system. They'll have a due date of September 30th. People who got their first notice in April will be getting a second notice probably at the beginning of next week with the same due date of September 30th. Again, very good response time or compliance rate. People are getting used to it now, or the new system, at least the pumpers are. It does surprise me how many people have called, say in the last month or so, saying, you know, I think this is my 3 years, and they didn't get their notice in April while they ended up being in the second half when we broke it up. And we're like, oh, don't worry, you'll get your notice right at the beginning of July. Even if you don't have your notice, you can still get it pumped and gets reported, and then you never actually get a notice from us because the system says, well, it's already been taken care of. Yes.
A question on this because I'm in that first group, but when I went to make my scheduled pump days, they were about the person I contacted first, one of the local septic people.
From what because I've talked to pumpers about this and plumbers, it's not that much different than the porta potties. A lot of times they'll send, it's a different truck sometimes that they'll send out, or they can hit 10, 12 of these at the same time, depending on the size of their truck. Whereas with a septic system, usually depending on the truck size, 2 is about tops that they can do before they have to go and spread it someplace. The 8 weeks has been the case for, well, I can think back at least a decade. And part of that though is people not calling right away. You get your notice the first week of April or April 1st, you know it's not due till June 30th, and people wait until June 1st to call. And that's when everybody's calling, so they're like, well, you know, we can get to you in 8 weeks. If you actually call at the beginning, my experience is that they can get out there usually pretty quick, and they're not slammed so close to the deadline. I don't foresee this being an issue with what you're saying, but a lot of it comes down to when the people call. And if we do end up with issues, then we'll have to address that. In theory, those same septic or that same waste should have been getting taken care of somehow already. Just now we're actually going to be able to track it.
I've been told there's 2 bottlenecks. One is the DNR doesn't have the land to spread it on. And 2 is the labor is not there for the pumpers for hiring.
Labor is an issue in pretty much every sector right now. As far as the land goes, most puppers that have been doing it have their approved fields. It's not an easy process to go through, which is kind of what I talked about before. There are certain requirements that have to be met, but I know they are getting fields approved. I haven't personally gone through that process, but so I don't know what kind of time frame we're looking at. There are other options which do usually end up adding a little bit to the cost. Certain municipal sewers will take it. Some charge virtually nothing and others charge a lot. It usually comes down to what type of capacity they have and what percent they're built or already using it.
Okay, anything else? Is there any correspondence?
No.
Next meeting date, August 4th at 3 p.m. And does Hannah have some resolutions for us to sign? Okay, then we're adjourned. Sign your name, don't leave.